Today I'm talking about national media misses, early training camp edition. As the Chicago Bears veterans report to camp today, the national media has talked about us being overrated and thrown out this ridiculous idea that we are overnight contenders. It makes no sense. What's up, guys? Swift here covering everything Bears related. And today we have to talk about the national media and how out of touch they are with the Chicago Bears in general. This week, the national media has went out of its way to spin stories about Caleb Williams holding out, and they've taken shots at the Bears' chances of contending this year. They literally use every opportunity available to make stuff up against this team for clicks. We are a fan base that likes to click on that stuff, so I do understand part of it. But again, this is part of the reason I made this channel, to go against narratives from the national media. So I do have to talk about a couple of them. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, one of the biggest platforms that covers the NFL, said there was a problem with the Bears and Caleb Williams' contract status. Just a couple of days ago, he said, something isn't lining up with Caleb Williams and the Bears. And then he added boldly, the situation isn't working out. One of the most ridiculous statements I've read since I started covering the Bears. The article went on to cast doubt on the entire situation and make it seem like there was some kind of divide between Caleb Williams and the Bears. That was absolute nonsense, and not a single bit of it was true. But then they tried to sell another narrative, spreading the story that Caleb was asking to have a clause in his contract to not be franchise tagged, and that's what was holding up him signing his rookie contract. I can't confirm it, but I did hear that Caleb Williams did ask for that early on in the process, and it was denied. But saying that was the reason the contract was held up and why he wasn't signed the day before yesterday was absolute nonsense. But then SB Nation has came out and made one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard about this team. He said, this idea that they are overnight contenders is a little ridiculous. And he went on to explain why we aren't contenders in 2024, but he completely missed the mark on this one. It's like our entire rebuild went over his head. Nothing about this rebuild has happened overnight. Real Bears fans and probably everyone who watches my channel knows this. We realize how long and painful of a process this has been. The idea that we became contenders overnight is what is actually ridiculous. That statement. I've spent the better portion of the last 2 years talking about the foundation that Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles were building in Chicago. And then last year I went on and on about how they were learning to win football games. We went from 3 wins in 2022 to 7 wins in 2023, and we also blew 3 late game leads last year. This team was just a couple of first downs away from winning 10 games last season. On top of that, we had one of the best off seasons in team history after that. Ryan Poles has brought in a ton of talent, trading for Keenan Allen and Ryan Bates, signing DeAndre Swift, Kevin Byard, Coleman Shelton, and Gerald Everett, and then drafting Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze and company. This is a year after trading for DJ Moore and Montez Sweat and drafting Darnell Wright and Javon Dexter. These last 5 years have been painful as Bears fans. Probably the last 15 years. Shoot, even longer than that if you want to be real. And it's been a long, excruciating process, but we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Nothing about this process happened overnight. The national media just hasn't been paying attention. And I have one final point here. This is one of the reasons why most of us didn't believe the national media when they said we were trading Justin Fields. They are never right when it comes to the Chicago Bears. And they were 0 for 17 on teams that Fields was going to get traded for. We've moved on from that, but how are we supposed to believe the national media when literally almost everything they say about the Bears is just completely made up and not true? That's the position we find ourselves in. I appreciate everybody who watches. Remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. Training camp is officially here. And until next time, bear down.